It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. I am Jill Schlesinger, and I am here answering questions with my compatriot, Mark Talercio. He is the best. He's the best producer, executive producer in the entire world. If you've got a financial question, we'd love to hear from you. Just go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click on the Contact Us button, and then you let us know if you want to come on the air. While you're on the website, don't forget to pre-order my new book. It's coming out next month. It's called The Great Money Reset. So let's get the party started with Ann. She's on the line from Texas. Hello, Ann. How are you?
Hi, wonderful. Thanks for having me. Love the show.
Love the bubbly feelings. Love it, love it, love it. Ann, what can we do for you today?
So I am calling because my mother-in-law, Elizabeth, she is really upset by the downturn in the markets. And so we would love some advice on how to handle her accounts.
Okay. How old is mom-in-law?
She is 69, about to be 70.
Still working or not?
She retired in 2013.
And what's the source of income for Elizabeth?
Source of income is $3,300 from a teacher pension and Social Security.
Combined, it's $3,300?
Combined, yes.
Okay. And what are her needs in terms of the spending needs? If $3,300 covers it or not cover it, or what do we come up short?
It covers it, I think, with, so her rent just went up and that's made it a little bit tight. So she said she has a cushion of about $3,000 in her checking and that she's added up, her expenses over the past 3 months, but has yet to add them up to see what the total is. But I think just everything is more expensive. And so I think that's also contributing to a bit of the worry because, she's feeling the pressure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like everybody. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, so she rents and that's affordable right now. She live near you guys?
Yeah, right down the street. It's great.
That's so nice. That's lovely. Okay. So how much is her rent?
So her rent it just went up to $1,800.
But she likes it there. In other words, it's not worth moving or what?
So we've talked about moving. The thing is, so she lives down the street from us. We got 2 kiddos. These are her only grandchildren. So it's great because she's really involved in their lives. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we live in the city proper. And so I think she's more of like a suburban cat. So I think she's open to moving, but then the expenses, she just renewed her lease and, it went up quite a bit. And I think everything's just expensive right now. And then there's all the costs of moving as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think staying put for now. How old are your kids?
So 3 and 6.
Maybe stick around for now.
Well, we want another kid too, so we definitely want her close.
And would you go out into the burbs or not really?
Yeah, the thing is, she knows our schedule, right? So we got 2 boys. They're both in sports. It's just nonstop. And then we want, another kid. So it just would make it more difficult. Like, for example, right now she'll pick up one of them from school once a week because she's right down the street. So,
oh my God, it's great. And she's young and she's healthy, right?
Very healthy. Great. I was like, you're going to live to be at least 90, right?
Thank
you got a long time.
That's good. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the money that Elizabeth has saved. So you said she's got $3,000 in her checking account, but she's upset about markets. So where is the investment account? What is it, a retirement account or a non-retirement account?
So
or both?
She's got some of both. So my father-in-law passed away a couple years ago and he worked for TIAA-CREF and a guy there had her money in 15 different funds. So we were like, hold on, I don't know what's happening here. So we helped her. I'm a Vanguard person. So we moved her stuff over to Vanguard. So she's got $86,000 in a brokerage, and that is invested in the VTINX, the Target Retirement Income Fund.
Okay, got it.
And then she's got a rollover IRA at Vanguard, and that is $244,000, also in VTINX. And then she's got some stuff at Schwab. So she has a rollover IRA, and this one, it is, so she inherited some Exxon shares. So she's got $5,000 in inherited Exxon shares. And then she's got this SSO Pro Shares S&P 500, which is about $8,000.
And I'm just looking, I went to look up the Vanguard Target Retirement Income Fund. It's basically tracking as if it were a bond fund. So I'm sure that for her, she's like, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be a really, kind of mellow ride. It just so happens, unfortunately, this year, bonds have gotten shellacked. So year to date, it's down 14, 15%. It will not be that way forever. So I can just tell you that for Elizabeth's sake, that particular fund is going to recover. It will recover, and it will recover well in her lifetime. So don't worry. Okay. It's a bond fund, and so, frankly, if she had a stock and bond fund, it would be even worse. So you picked wisely in terms of like low risk. Is she pulling money out of any of these accounts right now?
No. So I will say she got a little more at Schwab if you want to go.
Yeah, let's do that. So we had the $5,000 in Exxon. You had an S&P fund with $8,000. What else?
And then she's got a brokerage there. We didn't touch any of this. It's another $5,300 in Exxon, and then $2,000 in cash. But then she's got a lot in just cash, just in like a savings account. So she has $170,000 in cash.
That's great. Perfect. So don't worry about it. What's the problem? Okay, I'm going to give Elizabeth a little bit of a side discussion here because Anne, you're so lovely to do this for her and with her. Elizabeth, listen to me. You're okay. It's been a horrible year for investing. And in fact, you have a strategy that has done better than probably 95% of the people out there. Okay. Because you lucked into this idea of having ExxonMobil stock. And therefore, it has been able to be a ballast against that S&P 500 that you had. I'm guessing because that stock you inherited or gifted it such a long time ago that it probably has a very low cost basis. So if you wanted to, inside of the rollover IRA at Schwab, if you wanted to clean some things up, you could sell the Exxon stock, you can sell the S&P 500 fund and roll it all into Vanguard just to make your life easy. You can keep it there if you want. I don't care. The brokerage and the cash, the Exxon stock, you can keep if you want to. It could go from 5,000 to 3,000 to 8,000. Not going to move the needle on your life. If you are charitably inclined at all, that is what you should gift. You should gift the shares in Exxon stock. If you say to me, I would like to give a gift of $1,000 to my charity of choice, use that. That's for sure. There's no reason to make big changes right here. You have savings that can cover any extra costs that inflation has created for you. That's only going to probably be for another year or so, frankly. Does the pension have a cost of living adjustment or is it a flat amount?
So it's a flat, but in the Texas legislature, it's something that they're bringing up. Like last year, they got another, like a 13th check. So they just got an extra payment. And then I saw that it's on the docket for the legislature. So you always cross your fingers, right? But it isn't something that is for sure going to happen.
I mean, look, I feel very comfortable in this. I really do. And if Elizabeth can feel some comfort in knowing that it's been a rotten year, it's down 15%. Thank God you didn't need your money. You don't have to take required distributions on the money until you turn 72. And by the way, that may even go up to 75. We'll see if the next phase of legislation changes that. And that's it. We'll get back to Anne in just a minute. It's Jill on Money. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We are answering financial questions and trying to help you make better choices in the future. Right now, let's go back to Anne from Texas, who's kind enough to be helping her mother-in-law. A lot of us are feeling the same way, a little anxiety over the markets.
We went and I followed your advice and I went to NAPFA and we found a CFP in the area. It turns out he was too expensive, but he gave some free advice. And so I was curious to pick your brain about what he said. So
do it.
He said that, so much of the VTINX is in bonds, and that and that like 20 to 30% is in stocks and like half of it's international. So he was saying she needs more of an equity tilt, which I was like, you don't know my mother-in-law. Like,
yeah, he doesn't. I mean, like, okay, let me just say one thing about that. I think that for a 69-year-old in general, I understand that approach, that the approach would be you need equities because over the longer term, and we do think she's got longevity, she's healthy, that you will need a growth engine in this portfolio, right? And I think that when you look at, VTINX, I wouldn't mind if she had at least a 20 or 30% allocation into some equity, but it sounds like she hates risk. Am I right?
Yes. I mean, in 20 to 30%, I have the breakdown here. So it's like total stock market is 17%, and then total international is 11%.
Fine. I'm game. Can you imagine if she had, I mean, honestly, can you imagine if she had more than that? And this year, instead of being down 14 or 15%, she was down 22%. She'd be pulling her hair out.
I know.
And it's like, to thine own self be true, meaning she knows herself. She would probably be like, you know what? If it were all in cash, I'd be happy. We won't let her do that.
Yeah, right. We've had this conversation. Yes.
But you know what? That 170 grand in cash has really helped prevent her from totally freaking out. So she does know herself. And I think that that's fine. Don't feel like you have to invest that savings. I do want you to search around for a money market or a CD. Like I want it to be used more proactively and try to give her a better cash management system. So do check what she's getting paid on that. Maybe buy a couple of CDs and a ladder of some sort, meaning like you could buy a 1-year CD and a 2-year CD and a 3-year, you know what I mean? And just make sure she's getting paid enough interest on this money.
I was going to say, you throw that 170 grand in a Vanguard money market account, and given the current environment, you're going to get $350 a month.
So look, right there, Mark just gave you a raise, $350 a month. That'll pay for some of your activities and have some fun. And, and listen, down the line, if you, Anne, and your husband decide you want to move to the suburbs and you're going to get a bigger house and you're all going to live together, we'll make different decisions. But, at this point, I think the game plan is a good one. We're going to tinker around the edges. That's it. Listen, if you know that you hate risk, it is not worth it to put yourself through this anxiety. It's just not. It's too much for anyone.
I mean, she's good. Her pension and her Social Security cover her monthly needs.
Exactly right. So, and even if it doesn't, even if in the next year you're falling short by $300, $400, or $500 a month, she's got plenty of money. She can afford to actually absorb the change in the costs that she is actually signed up for. She really can. Everything is good. If you told me that her rent was $4,200 a month, I'd be like, okay, no, she's moving in with you. But it's not the case.
Okay, so that's my question is that what's like a safe withdrawal rate? Because right now I think she doesn't want to touch it at all.
Stop it. Elizabeth, listen to me. You got to spend your money. Stop. You have to. She has 240. Hold on, I'm going to do a quick 350, 450. She got 500,000.
Yeah, it's 497, I think.
Look at that little eyeballing. If the worst thing that she does is like she takes $500 or $600 a month, and that's all she does, she will never run out of money. And it can be $1,000 a month, frankly.
Okay, that's great to hear. I think, because we talked about, so we discussed, setting up a CD ladder. What do y'all think about I-bonds? Because I wanted to get her on the 9% rate, but we didn't get around to it. So
hey, listen, it's still 6, it's almost 7. So I think it's great. I would take some of that savings and I'd buy 10 grand of I-bonds this quarter. And then in the first quarter of next year, buy another 10 grand. That's 20 grand that's set for the next 5 years.
Okay. Wonderful.
Right?
And I know you said bonds is just a bad year, but I looked at like the bond fund that VTINX is in, and it's down over the past 5 years. And so I was like, I don't really understand bond markets and bond total funds. So what's going on with that?
So it's because of this year. This is the year. Okay. It is true that it's been a bad year for bond investors. It's been a bad year for stock investors. It's a year, and we're not pulling this money out all at the same time. So she doesn't need all this money. And in fact, because she has $170,000 saved, she doesn't probably have to touch this money until she is forced to do so when she has to take required minimum distributions. At the worst case, that's in 2 years. And I wouldn't mess around with this too much.
Okay. So her, one more thing. So like she loved her house in her previous city, and she's in an apartment now, and it just doesn't have the same feel. Like you don't have your neighbors. She loves doing yard work, and we were like, you can come do our yard. Right. But she really loved that like house, that neighborhood feel. And so she would love to buy a house. And so I was looking at, it would gobble up a lot of her cash. Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
Negative. How about renting a house?
That was my idea. There's some communities as well. I know I don't think she likes the idea of like a 55 plus community, because it's that social network I think she's really missing. And so it's that I'm trying to look for like low hanging fruit, these networks that are already ingrained. And so
why not a 55 plus community? Because you don't like old people. This is what by the way, my 98-year-old mother-in-law, God rest her soul, she just died this summer. She used to say about her own assisted living. She goes, oh, these people here are so old. And she was in her 90s. She moved in when she was 93. So no go on the 55 plus just because I don't like that vibe.
I think I just don't know enough about it. All the things you can get involved with things, that kind of situation.
Dude, you'll be playing pickleball in 5 seconds. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, look, I would look at it. I would think about renting a place that's more conducive, but everything has trade-offs, right? Because once you rent a nice house, you're a little bit farther away from your kids. And if Anne weren't such a lousy daughter-in-law, she'd just buy a big, huge house in the suburbs for all of you. No, I mean, really, given what you have right now, I understand it. It sounds kind of like you're in transition, both of you, actually. So it seems to me that there's probably going to be a move or two left in you. Obviously, having an apartment is easy. That's the part, that I don't want to discount. But if you miss certain aspects, I would not purchase another property, but I would rent something just to see. Maybe you like it better. Maybe not. Maybe living down the street is good, but maybe being 8 minutes away is fine too, if you can find a house to rent. But I would not buy because I want you to have that liquidity, that access to the cash is big for you. Very good. Very, very good. That's what saves you right now. Makes sense?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this has been so helpful. I just, listen to you guys every day. I feel like I'm a little mini CFP in training.
You should be.
Well, if teaching wasn't such a good schedule with my kids, I would definitely.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When you're done or the kids get older, you start looking at that as a career option because it can be very flexible for parents. It really can be. Elizabeth has done her estate documents or not?
Yes, she says yes. So we've got a folder with everything that we know where it is. So
Great. That's perfect. That's perfect. So listen, I think that we have a game plan. And it's an operational game plan and it changes. If you need more help, you guys come back on the air and we talk about it. And if there's something if something fell in your lap, you, Anne, and your husband and your 2 kids, and you really wanted to think about, we're in great shape. We love this house, but we just found something. It has an in-law apartment. It's really perfect. And then maybe you would use some of mom's money to help buy that. We can certainly talk about that as an idea. We really can. If you have a market question, a tax question, a charitable question, any kind of question, just go to the website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get you on the air.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the show that's trying to help you make better financial decisions. Maybe you're thinking about a financial resolution. If that's the case, we'd love to hear from you. Just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Right now, let's talk to Linda, who's on the line from Denver.
Jill and Mark, I've been listening to you guys for several years now, and thanks to you, have a nice emergency reserve fund going on. But now that brings me to the question of between retirement, putting money in cash, when do we dial back retirement and do a brokerage account or cash, and just kind of trying to figure that conundrum out.
Like the allocation of your resources, as they say in Econ 101. Okay. So Linda, tell us about yourself.
Well, my husband and I are both 56, both work. We make about together, depending on how much overtime I work, over $200,000 in our retirement stuff. We have a little over $1 million in our combined 401ks. About $55,000 in our emergency fund. Of course, we've got $20,000 in I bonds.
I love that you're like, of course, because it's like if we Mark, did we ever mention the word I bond before last year?
Before this year, I mean, before 2022, I don't know if we ever said the word I bonds. Now it's like the hip thing to do.
I was early in that trend. You have to admit, Mark, because I said to Mark, you have to buy these I bonds. And he's like, oh, the website stinks. But I told you it's worth it. Okay. The $1 million that's in the combined 401ks, is it traditional or Roth?
Well, of course, we went to Roth in the past year, 100%, which our taxes really, really love. We probably have right now about $100,000 in Roth, but going forward, it's all in Roth.
That's awesome. How's the cash flow? Like, how are you feeling in terms of your living, your standard of living? And do you feel tight at all? What's going on?
No, my husband has a shoe problem that he manages to fund well.
Shoe problem?
He likes those Ferragamos? What does he do?
What kind of shoes exactly? I want to know.
Tennis shoes.
He's a sneakerhead?
I mean, Adidas, he's not like spending $200, $500. No, it's like, I got this great deal. They were $150, but they were only $98.
I love that. And does he do all the different? Mark likes Adidas also. Mm-hmm. So you were talking about a brokerage account. Do you have a brokerage account so far or not yet?
No, we do not. Just all 401ks.
Do you guys have kids?
Yes, we've got 4.
What?
I know. What in the world? And 2 of them live at home, but though it's just one of them that's not really launched. But sorry, that's my dog.
I love that.
That's not your dog, Jill.
Not mine. I'm like the person who has the kid, and I hear someone else's kid cry, and I'm like, not mine. Don't care. There are 2 at home and 2 are launched. Is that how it goes?
Correct. Well, the one at home, is planning on moving out soon.
All right. So I'm just going to say 1 at home because one's moving out.
Yeah.
Tell us about the house. How much is it worth?
Zillow says $650.
$650.
And we are at like $90,000 that we owe.
Really? What's the interest rate on the mortgage?
3%.
And is it a 30-year?
We refinanced. I mean, we're down to like 6 years left.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We refinanced years ago. So.
Okay, good. All right. Now, you're 56. You're both 56. Do you like working?
I love my job. And the plan is that I, probably go to part-time-ish at 65 to keep making some money till 70. But my husband he's always hated his jobs.
Oh, no. I feel bad for people like that.
Well, I mean, that's on him. He works a more physical job too. So I've always told him, that 65 would be his hard stop. Mm-hmm. But even, when the house is paid off, if he wants to dial back and do something that isn't as demanding.
Right. Will either of you be entitled to a pension?
Of course not.
What about your needs? So, I mean, you're putting a lot of money into retirement. What do you think you need to live on? What's the expense need? Not even expense, just like what you would like to have monthly in retirement.
6,000 to 7,000 is where we're at currently, and I assume with the cost of living, 7,000 would be a.
Okay, so when you look at your Social Security benefits and you're projecting out, what does it look like for you at your full retirement age and then at age 70?
My work, I contribute to a 401A. And so, of course, these are my highest earning years that I'm contributing to that. So my Social Security at 70 will be $1,400. and my husband's at 70 is 33.75.
In your view, like when you kind of project forward, is there anything else you think that we need to take into account to, like, before we start thinking about the planning part? Is there any, are there older relatives still alive? Is there anything else that you think you'd like to, like, at least have in the back of your head?
Yeah. My mom lives with us. She's 82. And she'll live with us however long she holds on there. And I would imagine into her 90s, because her mom was 97. She pays a little rent and contributes in that way. So we don't support her.
And does she have any assets?
When, there's a reason she lives with us.
I got you.
She doesn't have a lot.
How's the multi-generational thing? I kind of digging it, like just from afar. Not that I'd ever want to live with my mother, but really.
Yeah.
How does it work?
It's wonderful to have her around. She goes and sees my sister. She got stuck with my sister for 1.5 years during COVID.
Oh, geez.
But this is her base. But it's really nice to have her around, and being around the kids for so much was great.
Okay. This is all good. So here's how I look at it. When the mortgage is up, what's your mortgage payment, just out of curiosity?
It's just principal and interest. We pay the rest separate, so it's $1,500.
I mean, the only thing that I would like to say about the brokerage, and we've been talking a lot about this lately, is I like the idea of you guys having more money in the brokerage account, because if you both stopped working at age 65, okay, and even if you worked part-time, but like, I still need 5 years to get to that age 70, right? And I need you guys to come up with, $3,000 a month. We'll get back to Linda in a moment. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get right back to Linda, who's on the line from Denver. So here's the kind of the layout that I see for options. There's two parts. First part is 56 to 62, right? At age 62, you now have a free cash flow of $1,500 a month, right? So you can take that $1,500 a month that you were putting down on the mortgage, and you can either say to yourself, okay, maybe my husband can go part-time. Maybe. Can he work in a shoe store? I mean, would that be possible?
Oh my
that
gosh.
seems to me a good
that would
idea.
Be dangerous. But I mean, that's something that I'm just like, something that isn't as physical, and that he can not be working 50 hours a week for salary.
Right.
Would be fantastic.
Look, you'll have benefits, right?
Correct.
That's number one. So let's say it's 62. Do you think he could find a job making $3,000 a month?
Oh yeah. Easy.
Okay. $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That's all we really need, because you'll have that extra $1,500 that you're saving from the mortgage. And if he could do that, that'd be awesome. Then I think what we're talking about is if you can make up that difference. In other words, if you can essentially say, I'm going to prevent us from dipping into our savings, whether it be our retirement accounts, or we'll talk about your brokerage account in a month. But if you can generate your $6,000 or $7,000 a month, even if, frankly, I don't care if you stop putting money into your retirement accounts. I really don't at age 62. Our goal is that between your ages 62 and 70, that you are almost cash flow neutral, that you guys work enough to pay your bills so that you don't have to dip into your accounts. That's the goal for me. Okay. And if you could do that, fantastic. Now, maybe that means you're working full time and he's working part time, or some combination of that. At age 70, you're freaking golden. You are golden, truly. Because you say, I need $7,000, you'll have about $4,700 coming in, which means that we have to come up with, to fund the gap between what you need and what's coming in, about $2,200 a month post-tax. So let's say you need you'll need $3,000 a month for the rest of your lives. So like from 70 to 100, because you have a lot of longevity. you'll be able to do that. I think you'll be able to do that because you'll have a lot of money saved.
Between now and then, that million will definitely be a 2 million.
Exactly. So I feel like you're in great shape. It's just that period of time between 62 and 70 where you could derail the plan. So the way that most people blow their plan up is essentially they're like 62 comes and they're like, no mortgage, we're out of here, we're done. And then you start dipping into your retirement account too early in your retirement. And you can't afford to do that. However, what I think would make sense right now would be for you guys to try to beef up your non-retirement savings. So Mark, if you were going to go from 56 to 62, okay, what portion of their total savings should be in Roth versus brokerage?
I mean, right now they're eligible to contribute almost $50,000 a year between them. I would probably maybe make almost kind of go in half. I would try and put 25 a year into the brokerage and then 25 a year into Roth.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. And it may not be. It may be 20 and 20. You'll do fine at 20 and 20, by the way.
Although I know Linda wants to know, why open a brokerage account? Why not just keep using the retirement accounts at work and, keep it simple with less accounts and all that stuff?
Yeah, so answer her.
I mean, I get it because she really wants to build up her Roth assets. So, yeah, in theory, they could put away a ton of money into her Roth 401k, and that's not going to be taxed. So I do get that argument.
I mean, look, you can do either. How about that? I'm fine with you doing the Roth, and it is easy. But I would like you to have just a little bit of extra moolah floating around in your non-retirement account. So even if the emergency reserve fund is built up, let's just pretend in 6 years, you're like, you know what? He's not going to quit, or he's going to quit. He got a better job. And you can save. I would like the emergency reserve fund to have, at that point, let's just pretend it was today, then I really would like you to have more like 75 or 100 grand in there, if you're not going to have a brokerage account.
And we do put every month right now, I'm putting like $1,500 into that.
Okay.
with
That's good.
The intention of growing it.
That's good. I'm happy with that then. I really am. Now, Linda, 4 kids, one who's at home. Have you done your estate planning?
Oh, we last year or so, actually right before COVID, I had done the pay for the legal stuff through work. And so that pushed me to get a revamp with all the kids, not having to worry about a guardian and all that stuff.
Oh, that's so good. That's
that all
so good. Any other questions that you guys have right now?
Life insurance. When do we know we don't need it anymore?
Now.
Okay, really? Oh my gosh.
What do you have?
Well, we just had the 20-year term just ended, and I just signed, it's term, but I had just gotten approved for 10 more years of term, which I think I'll continue because my pay is so much more than my husband's. But he didn't qualify easily like I did, so we might just let his lapse next year. Okay.
What did you sign up for?
Just $250,000, not even a big, but enough that I'm the money person.
Okay.
And so I don't want him to have something happen to me and then immediately have to worry about stuff.
Can you get it through work cheaper?
It's like $125 a year. It's really
all right. Don't worry about it.
That's cheaper than Netflix.
Yeah.
All right. We're allowing you to keep it then.
Thank you.
Okay, if you've got a financial question, all of the information you may be seeking is found at the JillOnMoney.com website. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And so often when we field your questions, there's many more layers to the issue at hand. And so that's why we encourage you to come on the air with us. Of course, if you're nervous, you want to just send us an email, that's fine. And if you think you need a more in-depth look at your financial life, then we encourage you to check out our sponsor, Facet Wealth. Facet Wealth does provide fixed fee financial planning, and that financial planning comes from a CFP professional. So if you'd like, we encourage you to do so. Visit cbsaudio.com/Jill for 2 months free off your first year of financial planning with Facet Wealth. Okay, let's do a quickie email here. Okay, this is from Barbara, who wants to know about a donor advised funds. She says, I understand the funds go into some selected charities that I choose. She said, if I send my required minimum distribution from Schwab to a donor advised fund, does that meet the criteria for a QCD? My financial advisor says no. The RMD has to go to an individual charity and the foundation. And she wants to know my thoughts. Guess what? Your financial advisor is correct. When you are looking at this, a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution gang, the money must go from an IRA directly to a public charity. No donor advised fund. So that's the rule. Live by the rule. If you want to read up more about the qualified charitable distribution and also donor advised funds, go to the website jillonmoney.com. Jillonmoney.com. Just go to the blog section. And I've got a nice explainer that's just goes through charitable giving for this year, some of the things that are changing, some of the things that are the same. We've got a whole nother hour of the Jill on Money Show, and I hope you stay tuned. While you're on our website, just go ahead and bookmark it. And don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Friday. Mark does a great job with that. JillOnMoney.com is the website. It's also the name of the show, and we'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's hour number 2 of the Jill on Money Show. We are here trying to answer your financial questions. If you have one, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com. When you're there, there's a little Contact Us button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that. Write your question, and then Mark does everything else because he's the greatest executive producer in the whole wide world. While you're on the website, don't forget to pre-order the new book. It's called The Great Money Reset. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Right now, we're going to talk to Anne from Minnesota. Welcome to the program, Anne. What can we do for you?
Thank you so much. So my question is, I want to know if I can move out with my friends. I am 24 years old. I just graduated college.
Just say yes. I'm just saying yes, because that's what I know you want to hear. All right, you're 20, right? You're 24. You graduated from college. How long have you lived home?
About 4 months.
How's that going?
It's going well. I get along with my parents great.
I was just going to say, so it's not like it's bad, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us about yourself. Do you have a job?
I do. Yes. I am an engineer at a local company.
Okay. How much do you earn?
$75,000 a year.
Sweet. That's great. Do you have any debt from college?
No.
No debt. How about car loan?
No car loan.
Any car? Do we have a car?
I do have a car.
I always forget about this. I used to just assume people don't have cars. And then I was like, wait a minute, you need a car to get to work in many places. So a car. Okay. Yes. Car, but no debt. Of the $75,000, right? Are you making contributions into a retirement account yet?
Yes, I am maxing my 401k and my Roth IRA.
Awesome. How much cash do you have on hand? Do you have some money in just a checking savings account?
Yep, I have around 3,000 in my checking and 4,000 in my savings.
Are you putting money into checking and savings on a regular basis right now?
Yes, but not very much. Most of the checking I intend to spend on like my entertainment budget.
Oh, you have an entertainment budget?
Yes. I'm 24. I got to have some fun.
I bet you do. Okay, which is great. And do you have any other money that's saved other than the 401k, the Roth IRA, the checking, the savings? Anything else? Like, did someone gift you some stock? Did you like take a flyer on some crypto? Anything else out there?
So I have a brokerage account which has about 18,000 in it.
Whoa.
And then I've been saving in my IRA for a couple years now. So my IRA is around 25,000.
Wow. Man, you're a catch, dude. How are you investing the 18,000 in the brokerage account?
I have been helped with the investing, but I'm pretty sure it's all in the S&P 500.
Okay. And this risk thing does not wig you out because you're so young, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Now, tell us what happens when you rent. How much will your portion of your rent be?
So with rent and internet and utilities, it would be about $800.
That's it?
Yep.
So rent and utilities, and then, but like, are your parents like paying for food and stuff? Like, are there things that you think, no, you're paying for that?
Yep. So then that would be, I have an additional $125 a week budgeted for food and then extraneous apartment costs, which always seem to come up.
I know, right? So you have $800 a month rent and utilities, $500 a month for food. You have like the same fun that you're going to have, right? In other words, that's not going to change. You're spending money on having fun right now, right?
Yes. Yep. The entertainment budget that I currently have is maintained in that.
What's the entertainment budget for a 24-year-old? I'm just dying to know. How much is it?
Right now I have $125 a week. That includes gas, but gas could be taken out from that other extraneous apartment fund theoretically. Right. But it's also for like, if I want to go get drinks or go out to dinner with my friends, things like that.
Okay. But like when I look at this, we're talking here, moving out, rent, utilities, fund, blah, 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 $1,800 a month. Let's even say it's $2,000 a month. Does that seem like a good number for you?
I would say it's a little less. I'm doing the math right now. I have budgeted $1,300 because entertainment is something that I've already have budgeted.
I got you.
So I don't include that in the additional cost.
Let's split the difference. Let's say $1,500 a month.
Okay.
So let's look at like what you really need to keep as like your emergency reserve. Theoretically, what I always tell everybody is that you need to have 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in a safe, accessible account. All right. Now, you don't have that much because the brokerage account, I don't exactly consider that it could be your emergency reserve. So really, if the blank hit the fan, you could certainly invade that account. But, you really wouldn't want to do that, especially, with the S&P 500 down 20% this year. You wouldn't want to have to sell it out and do anything.
Agreed. So, I don't want to do that. I don't intend to touch that.
Okay. So ideally, what we would have is that between your checking and savings, you'd have that $1,500 a month is your, let's call it, your monthly need. And the way that you kind of look at the world is you say, okay, let's say I lost my job. Let's say we do go into a rotten recession. What do I need to have to fall back on? You need about $9,000 in your checking savings account. Well, you're almost there. You have 7. So you could totally do this. You could move out and, just be a little bit more careful, certainly in the early going, not blowing through all of your money, and make sure that you like your job and you're staying there, all those things. And I'd love for the checking savings to be more like, $10,000 or $12,000 together. But I think you'll get there. Then you can move out. Now, if you want it to be much more conservative, you would say, okay, I'll wait. I won't do it right away. And the money that I'll save on, rent and utilities, the $800 a month, I'm going to put that into my checking and savings. And then 6 months from now, I'll be all set. And then I'll have my 6 to 12 months in the emergency reserve fund and I can move out. But I'm kind of okay either way. Mark, if Theo's not blathering in the background, I bet you agree with that.
Either way is fine. This is really just a matter of personal preference here. I mean, she's 24 years old. She's only going to be getting raises here from here on out.
Exactly. I think you are in great shape, Anne. And I think it is worth your, if you're like, hey, I just want to do it, go do it. Go do it. It's fine. Are you feeling nervous or do you feel okay as we lay that out like methodically?
I think that's helpful. I think it sounds like a personal decision. So yeah, I guess lots to think about.
Do you really, really like these people you would be moving in with?
Oh yeah, I've known them for a long time.
Mark and I are not the kind of people who like roommates. I just have to say, never have. I mean, it's amazing that I've actually lived with somebody for 20 years because I like my space for sure. I think it's personal preference. I think you've got a great job. I think that, like Mark said, you're only going to be earning more money in the future. And you sound like you got a really good head on your shoulders. And I feel like for you, there are some people I'd be like, just, milk the cow, stay home as long as you can. But you're going to do the work that you need to do. So I feel comfortable and confident that you can make this work. So I say, go with your friends. First round is on us.
Awesome. Sounds good.
We'll be back with more of your questions in just a moment. If you want more of us, just go to JillOnMoney.com. That's our website. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. If you've got financial questions, we've got answers. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com. That is what Mary from Connecticut did. Hello, Mary. How are you?
Hi, Jill. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Tell us what brings you to the program today.
So I just wondered if you could do that look-see that you often mention at my plan and just, make me feel a little better about it. And I think, I have some questions on things that maybe could be tweaked a bit. So,
all right. So tell us about yourself. How old are you?
I'm 64.
Married, single, partnered?
Divorced, not partnered.
Okay, divorced. And are you working?
I am working. My income is about $99,000 a year. And I plan to work at least till 70. And I think that's feasible. And I'm hoping a couple of years longer so I can both have Social Security and an income at the same time to kind of
look at you. You're taking advantage of the system. This is not even a scamming. This is just, I want to work. So you must like what you do. That's good.
I like what I do. I think I'd be bored if I didn't do it. And, I was home with my kids for a dozen years. So it's kind of still, I'm like in the prime of my career now. So. Oh,
man, that's so great. So do you make contributions to a retirement plan through work?
I do. I have a 401k and I max that out, including the over
catch up.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, good. And how much is in that 401k?
That is about $280,000 right now.
Great. And is it a traditional or a Roth?
It's traditional. And that's one of my questions because I didn't even know what a Roth was a few years ago. And I have the Roth option and I haven't used it and I don't know if I should.
What about other money that you have saved up?
Online savings is about $60,000, $10,000 in I-bonds. I have $51,000 in my HSA. I use that just for investment. I haven't spent any of it. Mm-hmm. I have company stock also in a brokerage, which I don't need to leave there, but that's only about $10,000. I also have a traditional IRA, which is $768,000 right now.
Whoa. Yeah. Where did that come from? An old job or is that the divorce?
Old job, divorce, and when he left his former company, he chose to take his pension early. So I was forced to take it. I could have done the annuity or I could have taken the lump sum. I chose to take the lump sum.
That's fine.
It hasn't done badly. It went in just before, in the middle of the market doing really well. So, so I don't regret it too much. And so that's where all that came from.
Good.
And then I have a small Roth also, a small Roth IRA of about $20,000. And then in a brokerage account, I have about 25,000. That's pretty much it for the bucks.
How about where you live?
I live in a house. I bought it just 2 years ago.
What'd you pay for it?
I paid 405,000. I put 20% down.
What do you think it's worth now? I mean, it may be that it's went up and down, but what do you think it's worth?
It went way up, and right now Zillow is saying about 482,000. That's like in the middle, not their high and not their low.
Okay. How much of a mortgage do you have remaining on it?
Originally, it was 324, so it's like, I don't know, 310 now, maybe. I haven't checked lately.
What's the interest rate on that mortgage?
3%.
Is it a 30-year fixed?
It is.
Great.
It is.
Do you have kids?
I have 3 kids, grown up on their own.
And doing fine. They don't need your help.
They don't need my help, no.
So how much do you figure you need to spend in general? Like, not the skinny version. Like, what do you like to spend?
I mean, I have been pretty much spending about 70,000 a year in expenses. Okay. Totally. Okay. Yeah.
Great. Will you be entitled to any pension yourself?
I have 2 little pensions. They're small. One is about four something a month, and one will be, and that starts next year when I turn 65. That's from a former employer, and then I have one at my current employer that's going to be approximately $500 a month. That starts when, just after I retire.
And what's the Social Security benefit at age 70?
$35.50 a month.
So, basically between the 2 pensions and Social Security, that's pretty amazing. I mean, it's $4,400 a month right there. And that's consistent. Is there any other income that you're looking at coming in?
No. Oh, well, right now I have alimony.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like $28,000 a year. But the caveat with that is it will stop as soon as my ex-husband retires, and I am not privy to when that will be. So,
it sounds like he makes a lot of bad decisions, so who knows?
Yeah, I think he needs to continue working himself. So for as long as he does, I will be lucky. But if he chooses to stop working, then it will stop.
So the game plan is, let's just say you work till you're 70 or 71 or 72, whatever it is. You're collecting the alimony for as long as you need to, as long as he continues to work, and it's taxable to you. But, you're kind of comfortably, your top bracket is 22 to 24. I mean, if you have the alimony, you're popped up into the 24%. Without the alimony, back in the 22. So that's all good. So what's the problem? I already like this. So far, so good, really.
I wonder if I'm investing properly. Should I be putting money into that Roth 401k instead of the traditional 401k? Will it make much of a difference at my age? It'll mean I save less. And then when the alimony does stop, I won't be able to save very much. So I'm wondering where I should be saving at that point.
If we look at the very biggest picture right now, I think the answer to the Roth question is yes, of course you should have the Roth. That's an easy one, because you already have now, $1 million that hasn't been taxed. And we want to make sure that, when it comes to 72 or maybe 3, 4, 5, depending what happens in the Congress. But when you're forced to take that money out, it's going to be like real money. Now, the thing is, when in the sort of larger sense, I feel very comfortable with where you are right now, because you need a little bit less than, let's say, $3,000 a month. Maybe we'll just call it $3,000 a month is what you need, $300 to $3,500 a month from a taxable account to fund the difference post-tax. Because you're going to have $4,400 a month in income, but you need $5,800 a month. We need to fund your gap. Your $70,000 a year is, when you say $70,000, you're talking about post-tax. So essentially, think of it more like it's like $100,000. You know what I mean? Or $90,000 is what you really need, because so much of your money hasn't been taxed yet. And so you have the money to do that, which is all good. However, I do think that having all of this money pre-tax puts you in the situation where you're like, I got to pull all this money out, right? So if I did it like right this second, I'm just going to do the person. If I said, you've got $1 million and now you're 72 years old, right? There's this thing called a uniform lifetime table. I'm not doing this off the top of my head. It's an Ed Slott little thing. So it says age of IRA owner or plan participant, 72. Which then gives you a life expectancy of 27.4 years. And you take the total account balance. I used $1 million, might be more, might be less. But the percentage of the account that you must take out at age 72 would be 3.65%, which is $36,500 of your $1 million account. So that's okay. Let's just not add to that burden. In terms of the 28 grand a year in alimony, like how are you using that? Are you just socking it away? Like, are you putting in the brokerage account? What are you doing with that?
I had been socking it away. I built up the online savings account that way. And yes, the brokerage. And I had been saving up for the down payment for this house with it. But now that I have the house, my expenses are a little higher and I'm trying to, maintain the house and do a few things with it. And so the money is getting spent more quickly. I've also had a few more like medical expenses. And, not a big deal, but it's been enabling me to continue saving, maxing everything out.
We'll be right back with Mary from Connecticut in just a moment. It's Jill on Money.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. And the way we do that is we answer your questions. But if you think you need a little bit more help than a radio show can give you, we encourage you to check out our sponsor, Facet Wealth. Facet Wealth provides customized financial planning for a fixed fee. And right now, if you visit cbsaudio.com/Jill, you will get 2 months free off your first year of financial planning with Facet Wealth. So go check it out. Right now, we are returning to Mary in Connecticut. Do you have a match up to a certain percent in your retirement account?
Yes, that's 5 or 6%. I can't remember which, but yes.
Well, what if we said, why don't you just try this as like sort of an experiment? What if you put 10% into your Roth 401k option and then take the rest of the money that comes in cash flow wise and pop it into your brokerage account? I think that if in 5 or 6 years that brokerage account was more like 100 or 150, I think that's a better way to go into your retirement years because you'll have a little more flexibility.
The 10% to the Roth, I don't know what the tax implications will be. So
you're going to have to pay more taxes.
Right. I know. So I guess I would keep some out and not put some of it in the brokerage.
But you have money in savings. I mean, it's not going to be like if there could be a surprise, like, oh, you have $50,000 to pay in taxes. Maybe there's like a $5,000 fudge factor. So you have a little extra money. See how it goes. You have to have a full year of it to really figure it out. You can go to the withholding calculator at the IRS and see what the right withholding would be if you move to a Roth. So you don't have like a nasty surprise. Now, you've got 3 grown kids. Grandchildren or no grandchildren?
No grandchildren.
All right. So we don't have to give any money away to 529 plans or anything like that. Do you have your estate documents completed?
I have 2. I have a will and I have the medical proxy, but I do not have power
of attorney.
Which I hear you mention. I never knew, other than you mentioning it, I didn't even know I would need one at this point.
All right. I'm going to give you an example of why this is good to have. Let's just say, I'm not even saying you have some horrible illness, but let's just pretend for some reason you're like, you fell and you're in the hospital, like you need a new hip or something. And it's at the moment where you're like, oh, geez, I didn't do the online bill pay and I don't have something automatic, or I need money shifted from one thing to another. Someone who holds your power of attorney can do those kinds of things for you. They can like move money for you, or they could say, oh, mom needs to write a check to somebody who was doing work in her house. She forgot to do that. Someone else can write a check on your behalf. And so I think that it's a very easy document. There's a statutory part of, I bet the state of Connecticut probably has an actual durable power of attorney on the website. I did this for a friend of mine recently. I just went to the New York State website, printed it out, and we completed it and got someone to notarize it. It was very easy to do. I think you were on the right track. How are you feeling about your investing given this horrible year that we've had? Have you done okay, or have you gotten nervous?
I have not gotten nervous. I think I've learned that things will straighten themselves out, and I try to remember that I'm buying everything at a discount right now. So
you are good. Oh, so my claptrap has somehow gotten through to you. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. Since the beginning of the pandemic, I've been listening to your show daily, which has definitely reinforced the don't panic. So
do we have any other questions, or do you have any other questions that we can answer for you?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have basically all of the large sums of money in target date funds. Is that okay? I mean, it's easy. They're very low cost. So that's good. But should I really have like a 3-fund portfolio instead?
Well, let me ask you this. You've got a 401k. Where is that 401k held? What's the big company that is the...
That's at Fidelity.
Okay. So, I mean, look, you have a lot of money. It is certainly easy to do. However, I also know the target date funds are easy. Sometimes target date funds have a little bit more risk in them than people realize. So I'd look at that. But I don't know. It's probably not worth it. Mark is going to say differently. Mark, you probably want her to reinvest. You want her to invest in the traditional. You're okay, right? We're okay with this.
I'm fine with the target date funds in your tax deferred accounts. I would not use a target date fund in your taxable brokerage account, because there can be a lot of tax surprises with these target date funds that people don't realize.
That is true.
Yeah, that did happen this year, but it was I don't have much there, so it didn't have a big impact.
As that balance grows in your brokerage account, I would get out of the target date fund.
And just out of curiosity, the $30,000 that you have in the brokerage account, do you have a loss in that account right now?
I'm not sure.
Why don't you look at that? Let's see what you have. If at the beginning of the 2023 year, you don't have to do it this year, because this year I think tax-wise you're fine. But next year when you switch to the Roth and you want to kind of alleviate yourself, you may want to make the change out of that target date fund, especially if you have a loss, and take the loss. You can actually take the loss against any gains. You won't have gains, but you can take the loss and you can carry that forward. You can offset $3,000 of ordinary income if you take a loss in that brokerage account.
Okay, that's the tax harvesting tax
You
law.
betcha. You betcha.
Oh, all right.
And then you can just, you can kind of play it and pretty mellow and be like, okay, I can choose the a broad U.S. stock index. I can choose an international index, and I can choose a intermediate term corporate bond fund would be just fine. If you don't love risk, you can kind of go 40, 10, 50, like 40 U.S. stock, 10 international, 50 bond. But, if you're okay with risk, you can bounce that up to, 60%, 50 or 60 in U.S. stock, 10% in internet, so you can play with it a little bit. We don't like you to trade in brokerage accounts that are taxable. That's why Mark is saying that target date funds can churn out capital gains and create distributions, and we'd rather that happen in your retirement accounts than in your taxable accounts.
Okay. Do I rebalance the brokerage?
I mean, this would be a rebalance. This would essentially be a rebalance, but you would do it once a year. And the way that you probably would do it is you would probably do it with just the new money you're investing. But, you don't have to do it and like take tax losses and gains. You could, but, the new money going in, you could really use that.
Okay. I see. I understand.
Keep us posted. Let us know how things go. Okay.
Thank you so much.
If you, like Mary, would like to join us, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Then we'll get you on the air live. We'll be right back.
401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. And we do that by answering your questions. You can go onto our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. While you're there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter, and don't forget to pre-order my new book. It's called The Great Money Reset. We've also got lots of other stuff. We have our podcast there. We've got a blog. We have video section, resources, lots of fun stuff over at the jillonmoney.com website. So check it out. Right now, let's talk to Steve, who is on the line from Colorado. Hello, Steve. What brings you to us today?
Hello to you. I'm just trying to find out. We've got some annuities coming from my parents' estate, and we're trying to find out if we should take those annuities in a payout or maybe reinvest, or what our options are as far as taxes and reinvestment.
Okay. How much money do you think is coming from these annuities? Like, what's the lump sum? Do you know?
The one we're talking about is like $400,000. We're going to split it between my brother and myself.
Holy smokes. That's a lot.
Yeah, they were good savers. So.
All right. So the annuity is issued through a life insurance company. The life insurance company says you and your brother are the beneficiaries. You've got 200. Oh, wait, one quick question. Do you have to both agree on the on what you receive, or do each of you have a decision to make that is independent of the other?
I think it can be independent. Because we're talking with the person who had sold my parents the annuities. I think that can be independent.
So $200,000, which has not yet been taxed, right?
That's correct.
Are these annuities, when you in your parents' estate, were they retirement annuities, meaning was it like it was an IRA account that was invested in an annuity, or was it a post-tax investment in an annuity? Do you know the answer to that one?
It was post-tax.
You said this is one of a couple, a few. What do you think is out there in terms of the total amount of the estate that you're likely to inherit?
The annuity totals, there's probably another 150,000, maybe a little more.
150 each, or another 150 total?
Probably each.
You're going to tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you, Steve?
Just turned 60.
And you're married?
I am married.
Your spouse is how old?
She's almost 62.
Are you guys working still?
My wife is working part-time. I just retired about a month ago.
Wow. Congratulations. How are you able to retire at age 60?
Well, as a firefighter, I put in 35 years, and that's about enough for a firefighter.
And you're receiving a pension?
Yes, ma'am.
How much is that pension?
Roughly around $60,000 a year.
Okay, great. When your wife is retire, when she does retire, will she also be entitled to a pension?
Small pension and probably Social Security.
You don't get Social Security, or do you?
No, just I have to bridge for Medicare for health insurance for 5 years, but no.
Do you think your wife's going to call it quits soonish, or what do you think?
Maybe a year or two, maybe.
How about money that you guys have saved? Did you use a deferred comp through your municipality?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you have saved in there?
Close to $500,000.
That's good. And what about your wife? What does she have saved up?
We have some other investments in real estate and things like that, and some savings accounts, things like that too.
Okay, give me the rundown of real estate is rental real estate you're talking about, right?
We have one of those, yes.
So real estate and your primary residence, is it mortgaged, or is it all paid for so far?
It's all paid for.
Give me the total value of real estate that you have?
Probably close to $2 million.
Holy moly. Okay. You guys are amazing. And then the other investments, about how much in there?
As far as just cash, or we have a house with my parents' estate that's coming cash, maybe another 150 or 200,000, somewhere in there.
Is the question, I mean, you're coming in and you're asking about an annuity. And the reason why I'm asking all these questions is to try to figure out whether or not it makes sense just to get the cash and pay the tax and move on. And the reason I'm asking about these other things is I'm trying to get a sense of like how much money you have in liquid assets. The reason that becomes more important is that, you're young, right? You're going to hopefully live for another 30 or 35 years. You're going to have income from your real estate and your pension. Do you have a sense of like how much you really need to live on?
Oh, maybe about 4,000 to 5,000 a month, the most.
So you're fine. You're fine. I'm going to make this very easy for you. Oh, do you have kids?
We have 2 kids.
Grown and launch and okay, or do you need to help them out?
No, they're grown, doing good on their own. So,
how do you feel about telling this guy who sold your parents these annuities, send me a check, thank you very much?
I think we're okay with that. We're just trying to figure out if there's a way to, we don't need the money out of the annuities right now, at least. So we're trying to figure out, well, should we just push it into an annuity again, or should we?
The reason why I don't like another annuity is that like you're starting the clock on a whole bunch of fees. We'll get back to Steve in just a moment. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we love answering your questions. So go ask us one. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get to Steve and finish up. I almost feel like, in a weird way, taking the money now, of course, there is going to be a tax implication, right? But you can do 2 things that I think make sense. One is you can annuitize these contracts. Just like send me a check every month until it's all used up. Done. And you and your wife can receive that as monthly income and just add it to the kitty. The other is just take the money and pay a nasty tax and, keep the money in there and take some of the money out this year, some of the money out next year, and, kind of slowly but surely get the money out. My concern is if you wait and you defer taking it out, tax rates could go up on you and you're not going in a lower tax bracket. You guys have income. So between the pension and the real estate and the money you have invested, and you're going to actually have taxes. So I think that starting up with another annuity contract and beginning to pay those fees all over again does not make a ton of sense. It really doesn't. You do have plenty of money, but you don't have tons of liquidity, meaning that a lot of your money is tied up. And I don't want it to be tied up again in an annuity.
As you take the money out, is there another account that you can put it into that's taxed? Like somebody was saying like a 1035 or a 1031. Does that sound familiar?
So, yeah. So when you have a insurance contract, okay, there is a way to delay taxes. And it's called an exchange. And, it essentially allows you to take one kind of insurance product and move it into another insurance product. That's a 1035. I think 1031 is for real estate. So that would mean that you'd buy another insurance product. And I don't know if you need an insurance product. You seem to have plenty of money. I don't think, the problem with these annuities, it's like you're almost like compounding the problem that your parents did a great job. They saved. But now they've delayed the taxes and now you have to pay the taxes. And then if you do the same thing, then your kids have to pay the taxes. And it's not like, I just don't think taxes are going down. That's it for Jill on Money. Thank you so much for listening. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer. We'll talk to you next week.